Alright, what's up, guys? I'm gonna just talk NFL in general. I'm gonna give my Super Bowl thoughts, talk about some of my most interesting thoughts just on what was most interesting in NFL this year. So let's start with that. Honestly, there's really one thing I want to talk about because the other thing is in the Super Bowl, or it's tied with the Super Bowl, but not involving the Super Bowl. I want to talk about who I honestly think is the best receiver in the NFL now, Josh Gordon. He's the Cleveland Browns wide receiver. He is a second year player out of Baylor. Yeah, he was actually at Baylor with Robert Griffin and Kendall Wright, but the last year when Griffin, Wright, and Josh Gordon should have played. Josh Gordon was suspended the whole year, but that team would have been ridiculously not fair. But anyway, so then by the time his suspension was up for college, I guess I don't know if he had to leave. I think he had to leave some sort. Anyway, he left the league, but Kendall Wright was the receiver with Robert Griffin, who's now for Tennessee, who I love as well. He kind of was getting the hype. Josh Gordon got drafted in the second round of the supplemental draft for the Browns. Had a pretty good year last year, but this year also got suspended. He got suspended again. He got suspended the first two games in the NFL, the season this year. So he got suspended that whole year at Baylor, his whole last year at Baylor, and then the second season in the NFL, the first two games. So there's this thing that they say is some off-season troubles, but some off-field troubles. Long story short, he played for the Browns this year and suspended the first two games. Came back week 3 against Minnesota, and this man balled. Josh Gordon, not only he led the, and he first off, so he missed 2 games. Okay, he led the league in receiving yards. He led the league in receiving yards per game. He led the league in most 30-yard plays, most 40-yard plays. I mean, here, this guy, he passed, and this is, remember, 2 games. He had 2 less games than everybody else. So right here, I'm going to show you, as you can see, Josh Gordon, number 1, 1646. Led the league in receiving. He had 1,500 yards more than Antonio Brown and Calvin Johnson, and he had 2 less games. Josh, Brown, Calvin, Demarius, AJ Green. This is incredible. I mean, borderline incredible. He's the most. Oh yeah, I think yards per catch is he the league too. He's, I think, the most naturally gifted player I've seen since Randy Moss. I really believe that. Yeah, average yards per catch, because these guys are he leads the league in yards. And he also had here, so yards, he led the league by 1,500 yards, guys. 1,500 over Antonio Brown and Calvin. 150 yards more than them. My bad, I was saying 1,500. But 150 yards more than them, and he missed 2 games. He played 2 less games. And then still, even with 2 less games, I said plus 30 the most 30-yard gains. He had 30 20-yard gains. It's 5 more than anyone, and he missed 2 games. And he had the most 40-yard gains too. But anyway, so to miss 2 games and put up some ridiculous stats like that, it's pretty incredible. I'm not to boast or anything about myself. I'm not gonna lie. I do have a pretty good eye at seeing these players, and I've always seen players really early. And Josh Gordon, I didn't see until this year. The beginning of this year, I saw. Actually, I did a big fantasy keeper league, and you keep 3 players each year as a dynasty league. It's about $375 entry fee. I don't know if I just said that, but and I had Dez Bryant was one of my keepers this year. Coming into this year, I had Cam Newton, Dez Bryant, Maurice Jones-Drew, which was all right considering Cam Newton was on the up and up. Dez was considered the top receiver, or one of them. Week 5, I believe, I traded Dez Bryant for Josh Gordon and Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller is running back for the Dolphins. At the time, Dez Bryant, I believe, was ranked number 1 in the fantasy ranked. Just the number 1 ranked fantasy receiver. That being the case, I saw Josh Gordon. He was young, and also we did this thing where based on the round you drafted him, for however long you got him, but the last draft he was in, your keeper in general, you also have a keeper round tag. It's like so basically say I had Des Bryant, which I did. He got drafted in the first round. So this next year will be the first year that all 3 keepers will have to give up the draft pick that they were in. It's a little confusing, but long story short, Des Bryant was a first round draft pick. So I would have to, next year, I wouldn't have a first round pick in the fantasy, if I kept Des Bryant. But Josh Gordon's an 8th round keeper tag. So that means I can keep Josh Gordon and I'd have to give up my 8th round pick, which is a lot better than keeping Des Bryant and giving up my 1st round pick, especially in hindsight. Hindsight 50-50. Now Josh Gordon's looking like arguably literally the best receiver in the NFL. Alright guys, here's Josh Gordon. Quick little 2-minute highlight reel. Just want to show you some video if I'm going to talk all this up on him, so here we go.
Every time my checks, niggas don't measure up and try to blame the Pyrex. I'ma do it bigger than a 5X. Can't ride with an L, so I don't drive Lex. Game so bickery, so full of trickery. Nursery, rhyming,
for 6'3", 6'4",
He's over 200 yards. This has never happened back-to-back in the history of pro football, and he takes it 95. Can you? Campbell, in stride, he got Gordon, Gordon got speed. Josh Gordon.
My time's more like fly time. Don't call it get
Josh.
dressed, call it in a
He has natural hands, natural speed, natural strength, natural size. Pac-Man. They did Pac-Man. Sorry, fellas. Okay. I'm just going to show you one of the other plays toward the end and move on. Okay. And as you can see, he's got a different quarterback throwing in every play, it looks like. Josh, sorry. Wait, call him. See ya. Peace. Woo! How about speed? Yeah. Alright, due to this memory usage, full bullshit, I basically had to cut this in 3 parts, but I got the first part. I got to just telling you guys about Josh Gordon, telling you about my him now being one of my keepers in my dynasty leagues, which I love. He's 22, so I'm gonna have him for the next 10 years. He's gonna be a top 5 receiver for forever. And like I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned that in any of the parts yet, but the fact that hasn't even had a real starting quarterback. He's had switch between Brandon Weeden, Jason Campbell, Brian Hoyer. This guy just hasn't even had a quarterback, and he still put up the most yards in the league. Just one of the most incredible seasons I've ever seen. The first wide receiver in NFL history to have back-to-back 200-yard games. No one's ever done that. Had the best 4-game span in that where he had the 200 yards in back-to-back. In that 4-game span, he had the best 4-game span in NFL history for a receiver. What I have it on right now is, I collect cards. I've collected cards here and there throughout my life, and I've started to buy and resell cards, and of course, as I started to buy and resell them again, as I started buying and resell them, it made me start collecting them hard again. But Josh Gordon, these are the Louis Vuitton, Gucci, real high-end brands. These are the 2 best brands you can get. And this is National Treasures. I had 4 of them. I had 5 total, but there's 3 different ones. This is considered black. There's black, gold, and then regular. But the black, you can see here, is numbered 25. See, so there's only 25 of these made in the world. It's the best one. It's the black's the best one. I had 2 blacks, which was kind of cool. I had 2 of 25, but whatever. I sold 1. I had a 149, and then I sold 199 or 2 99s, number 99. Just like this one. See this Exquisite, number to 99? Exquisite's always been the best kind of brand, Exquisite, but NFL, the thing is like, I don't know why, but they've always had this sense of they like the guys in the Browns jerseys, or in the NFL team jerseys. So, these are 2 best rookies. So either way, I think Josh Gordon, right now, arguably, I think he's the best receiver in the NFL right now. I'd go Gordon, number 1. I'd go Calvin, number 2. I'd go Julio Jones, number 3. Got AJ Green, number 4. And number 5, let's go. It's hard, but I mean, either Dez Bryant, Antonio Brown, probably, or Demaryius Thomas, one of those guys. But top 4, no ifs, ands, or buts. It's Josh Gordon, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, AJ Green, whatever order you want to pick it. All right, make sure Josh Gordon, you hear about him, tell your friends. When he's the best receiver in the NFL, when he has more than over 150 yards more than the second and third best guy, 150 yards, and he didn't play 2 games, this guy should be talked about. Please talk about Josh Gordon when you bring up receivers, when you bring up anything. All right. Yeah, that's it. All right. I'm actually about to do a Super Bowl one right now. I got a lot to talk about. Because the 2 things I like to talk about the 2 things that I'm impressed with the most this year is Josh Gordon and Russell Wilson. So I'll talk more about Russell Wilson in the next one. But Josh Gordon, best receiver in the NFL, mark it down. All right. Peace. One love. Stay true.